Well, thank you for letting me know that. I am back. um, for folks, I hope everybody's doing well. It's now 11:33 p.m. on the East Coast. Um, and got to talk to everybody about this whole MK Davis thing. Apparently, he came out with a video last night uh, saying I assassinated his character. Well, to that I say, what did I call you? I said you promoted hoaxes, that maybe you were gullible, that your analytical ability is called into question. How is that character assassination? I'd like to know, because I provided facts with mine. Now, last night there was an attempt to set up a debate between me and MK, and he chose to get angry and do a pathetic, woe is me, I'm a hero, and I've been attacked. Isn't that what hoaxers do? Not saying you're a hoaxer, MK, but you're acting like one. Because when you put evidence out there that they're wrong, their response is to attack the person who put the stuff out there. But you see, we're not done with that. And if anybody has a question, you can post that right there. I can see everybody on YouTube. This is a YouTube only event right now because of Facebook not being able to put out the comments. So, a couple of issues. MK turned around and said, well, that picture I put out, was not me. That was Leroy Blevins that made the picture, and that put the Bob Gimlin face in the background. And I found out, yeah, it was correct. But here's my source. Yes, it was Lauren Coleman who wrote in Crypto Zoo News just the other day. It says it was produced and then withdrawn by MK Davis. Now, the funny thing is I have Leroy's book right here. And that picture does appear in there. However, the Bob Gimlin question mark and the arrow is not there. Just saying. Oh, Grasshopper, I'm getting to that too. So here we have the book that MK uses that still to say there was a massacre. But the book, what's the book about? The book is about saying that the Patterson-Gimlin film is a hoax. Yes, this is a book that debunks the Patterson-Gimlin film, or attempts to debunk the Patterson-Gimlin film. Let me rephrase that. So MK used a piece of evidence from somebody else that was against the film. I find that kind of disingenuous. Now, let's talk about a couple other things. Very clearly, on Facebook, Davis tells how he manipulated Renee's film by intensifying the red element in specific spots. I would expect that would make anything brown, orange, or purple appear to be red. That is correct. So when you take a piece of evidence and you alter it, it no longer becomes evidence. You break that chain of custody. Adding red, of course, things are going to look more red. So if you add a red element, you're going to have that brown pond that turns red or dark red rust. In a court, they would laugh that out. That's not evidence. That's something you changed. Let's look at the original film. You see any blood in the original film? No, it's only on MK Davis's recreations. MK Davis also backed off on the Blue Creek Massacre theory. If you look at it, and trust me, folks, hang in there. Yeah, and that's funny because he denies it, but John Green caught that on Facebook. There's no doubt there was a red element added to that filter, or there was some red element added to that film somewhere because we've seen the original looks nothing like that one. So a red element had to be added somewhere. So that is very much being contested because we've seen versions of the film. If you look at the original, I don't see anything red in there. And you can look at the original. Yeah, an astrophysicist. That doesn't that have to do with outside the planet, not inside the planet, but whatever. He says it's a red pool. Well, that's kind of funny because I've said in the past that blood, when it dries, it eventually turns black because of the oxidation of the iron in the hemoglobin. And that's true. Redshift does happen as film ages. Yet we have copies of the film that have not aged because they've been digitalized before that shift. Yep, I agree. It's mud. It's not blood, it's mud. It doesn't matter if he put any, like he has the picture of the leg shot. Again, that's altered. That's altered. You don't see Patty stumble. You don't see her limp. You don't see her break into a run. How many times have we had sightings where people seen these things and they run? So it don't make any sense. And he's backed off the Blue Creek thing. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. Because Bob Titmus was misidentified. It was actually this guy Chiazeri. So, last week I put out a video about the pant leg in the cells video. And this is kind of where we look at it from a stance of how his analysis is. So I posted that video and somebody had put this picture up and asked about this. I'm sorry, not that one. Where is the other one? This one. And you see MK trying to say, well, he's 5'9", and look how big this is. You got a good look at it? Excellent. So we have this whole frame here with this measurement, trying to say that this thing is 6'6" going over the fence. But is there a problem with this analysis? And I looked at this frame, and then I looked at this frame. And he scaled his picture to an assumption, or he scaled, actually, what he did was he scaled the original into his recreation. When you create a recreation and you take a photo, you don't take the original and try to mold it into your recreation. You take your recreation and mold it into the original. And see, MK made a complete mistake here. He's making the assumption, because of the hand going on the top of the fence, that's how big it is. However, let me show you a couple of things. So, if we really look at what this is supposed to be, there is one known object, and there's a fence post in the original video, which is not in any of his recreations. The original post is not there. Why? I'd like to know why. I'd like to know why the picture's so grainy. I can get a clearer zoom in and a clearer recreation. I want to know why he omits a known item. And when you do a recreation, you take a known object, and we know the posts should be the same size or thereabouts. So what I ended up doing is I took his picture here, and I scaled it. Obviously, you can see by the previous picture. And what I did was I drew the lines in all the fence line. Straight line. That's all you can do. You can't sit there in the bends. Now, as you can see, this is very bendy. It's kind of like almost, not quite chicken wire, but it's just some real metal. If you cut that piece of metal, you go and you can bend it. It's not steel. It's not wood. It's not thick. It's just like a wire fence. But why in his recreations back here, And where's the other one? This one. Where's the known? I mean, here we have this. There's the fence and there's the creature. But conveniently, the other post has been cut out of it. But when we scale it and draw on the fence lines, there it is. The fence posts are even to where MK is. Draw on the lines. His actual hands are right on top of the fence. Now, I want to make another statement, too, that in the video that we see, we don't see a fence. We don't see any of the wires. That's too washed out. So let's take a look at the inlay. Let's take a look at the comparison. Take a look. So here's the film with that proper. Now, before I stop, let's take a look at the known items. There's the fence post. There's a fence post. Both the same. The pallet, the trees, everything, they're all matched up. This is an accurate scaling. We've taken a known item right here, matched it to that, and matched the whole thing together with the fence post. So you can see the fence post lines. There's all the fence. There's his hand on the top fence. Now watch this. Here it comes. Doesn't look very big, does it? And look, it's not going over the top post. It's actually going over, or the top rail. It's going over the second rail. You see, MK did not take this picture where this creature walked over the fence. That much is certain, because you see this stuff in the background? That's not in any of the film. So the recreation picture wasn't taken at the same spot. It was taken at the fence line with one of the fence posts, conveniently over there. But when we match that, the height of the fence post, and if you look, everything looks right in line. The bottom line, there's the trees. Everything was drawn out at the fence. MK's hand there. So as we see, here it comes. And then what it does is it reaches over the second link right here. Brings its leg over this link. And of course, because of the distance, it's a few feet further in. It looks a little kind of wonky. But you can see that it's going to traverse this line, not that line. And as we saw in his recreations, he made the assumption that the creature just went over the top of that. There it goes. 1, 2, off it goes. So this creature is not big. It was wrongly scaled. And the way you do an investigation, is you look for something scale. Not make an assumption and say, well, the creature went over the top link and here's my hand, so I'll blow the creature up to where it's reaching over the top link. No, that's not how you scale photos. Incorrect. Take your recreation with a known object. That's why when you take a recreation of something standing by the tree, you want to have exactly the same spot. And then what you do is you go back, you take that new picture and you inlay it over the other one. Done this 1,000 times to prove to people that what they're taking is a stump or something else. I can see where the flaw is in his recreation. And conveniently, in his recreations, he omits the one known object. Because if you put that known object in there, you're going to see that piece is they will not match. So everything here has been done to scale perfectly. You can see there's no blurring because this got superimposed onto a picture. Where the creature went over is the deck at the same height as where MK is standing. It looks higher. I don't know what you're talking about. The deck, these, believe it or not, this picture you see is actually, it's a transparency. So it's not a picture over a picture. It's a transparency. So if anything was off, it would look very blurry. Okay. And as you can see, everything with the transparency lines up. Boom. The house, the pallet, the trees, they all match up. The ground. Sorry, I refer to it as the deck. Okay, no problem. No, if you look at the actual picture, there's chicken wire right there. Look at that. And that's about right. See? So there's wire there. And I thought that was kind of weird too, but it's just the way the fence is built. And I've been to that fence, and that's the fence. Yeah, I can agree. That's the fence. That's not in the area where it was, but yeah, it goes all the way to the ground because they're trying to keep varmints out of there too. So, yeah. So you have the last line in the fence right there that I can see. There may be a line on the ground too, but the last one I can visibly see. So what I do is mark a line, 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 mark a line. And that was where I stopped. Because that's all I needed, really. I didn't need to bring it all the way down to the ground. I could have stopped up here if I really wanted to. Because the real important one, as we see in the video, is going to be like right in here. Is it 1, 2, or 3? As it turned out, it was this one. He goes over. So, in looking at the video, we can't tell what if there's fence there or not. And it, as the video shows, it goes over. And that's a real life recreation, folks. Is it coincidence that, I got everything squared away and it just so happens to go over one of the links? And that was what, Frank, I don't know if he's deliberately doing it to deceive people or has such confirmation bias that he's leaving stuff out that makes his argument look weak. And in this case, his argument looks really weak. So, I don't know what he's saying about character assassination. If showing evidence and talking about evidence and asking for a debate is character assassination, then what he did to Bob Gimlin's name is tenfold worse. There was a mention about, and it's on one of my, it's been posted in several places, but yeah, MK was alluding last week on Facebook that Ivan Marks was one of the assassins. And we all know Ivan Marks is Tom Biscardi's mentor and tried to get Peter Byrne out of $25,000 for those hokey films. And MK showed a small clip of the Bigfoot going down that Marks allegedly shot. And of course, it's a guy in a suit. You can tell it's got chicken legs, just like this Bigfoot does. Chicken legs. And we know Bigfoot doesn't have chicken legs. So my guess, exactly, the hoaxy guy. So this is nothing personal, and MK wants to make it personal. You know why? Because he's trying to get a sympathy. And my sympathy lies in you accusing an 88-year-old man of something horrendous. All right? We haven't even proved that film is real yet, and you want to go out and say this. You want to talk about character assassination. The only one that assassinated your character is yourself by aligning yourself and making comments about Ivan Marks being legitimate, by Mike Sells, this video being legitimate, and by this whole massacre theory being legitimate. That's what's assassinating your character. And I'm not the only one saying it, brother, so don't even think that. All right? And I'm not assassinating your character. I said, and I've always said, you've always been a gentleman. But now you're acting like a wuss. Be a man. If you're wrong, admit it. Because there's the proof. You don't want to debate it. A man would debate it. A man would stand by his beliefs. I'm standing by my stuff. You won't come to the table with it because you're just, you look bad. I have everything I say is the truth. You want to say that I'm this evil person when I'm bringing you the truth. I don't want to hear, he's assassinating my name. And no, I'm not assassinating your name. You've done that. Again, you've done that yourself. You want to align yourself. You want to align yourself with Ivan Marks and some wonky theory based on a film that's been altered which won't stand up as evidence because it's not. You want to stand up to stuff like I've just shown here, where your scaling is all wrong. You can't argue what's on the screen in front of you, people. You can't. There's the scaling. And my guess would be MK is going to come out and say, well, you know, some of the posts were different sizes. And no, they weren't. I was there too. So let's cut that crap right out. Yep. And then he was presenting that as the shooting of the Minnesota Iceman. And then he kind of alluded that March was part of, if I'm correct. So that's the scoop. I didn't assassinate anybody's character. Bringing and this is, and unfortunately, I hate to say it, he's acting like a hoaxer. Because what a hoaxer would do is attack the critics instead of debating the merits of his case or trying to debunk the merits. The problem is there's no merits on the massacre theory. There's no bodies. There's no bones. It sounds ridiculous to think that, you know, all these years, you know, you want to say this one specific incident over 50 years ago, we happened to kill a bunch of Bigfoots. Nobody came forward. No evidence, no bodies, no bones, no nothing. But yet they allow a film to be shot and go out, which would put the killers at the scene of the crime. No. This theory is fantasy, and that's what happens. There's reality and there's fantasy. Well, MK, I'm sorry. I am a professional investigator. I've investigated crimes, torts, all sorts of things for the last 32 years. And I've never heard something so ridiculous with such post-defense behavior. So I'm sorry. It doesn't stand. Be a man. Say, maybe you were wrong. Be a man. Stop being a wuss and trying to cry and get sympathy, because people are crying for that man, Bob. And I haven't threatened with you with physical violence because I think it's wrong. I don't threaten anybody with physical violence. You want to have a meeting of the minds? I offered to debate you. You decided to go another route. Well, you know what? You lost that opportunity now. You want to do the Facebook thing, the YouTube thing? Here it is. And he should put out together a full report, a presentation. He has done presentations on this. The problem is that his presentations or reports will have bad evidence in them, as we've seen. You know, like I said, he has no evidence. You take a film and you change the color on it, regardless if he did it, it aged, or somebody else did it. The problem is that no longer is technically evidence because it's been altered from the original. So other than that, he's got a story. And he's disowning Blue Creek. Okay, fine. Blue Creek was stupid anyway. There was less evidence there that there was even a Bigfoot there other than analysis of pictures. Oh, that's skin. Oh, that's this. That's Bob Titmus, which it wasn't. So he's disowned Blue Creek. That's cool. Fine. Let's keep it to Bluff Creek. I like keeping it simple because Bluff Creek is even easier to figure out. But don't say MK, I didn't create it. He's assassinated my character. He says I created that. No. Maybe I was wrong because I'm reading that article from Lauren Coleman saying one of the silliest slides produced and edited and then withdrawn by MK Davis. So maybe you didn't produce it, but you used it. You used it. Enough said. You know, don't use a gun and get your finger caught in the trigger and then blame the gun. You know, that's the way I grew up. And, I grew up, restaurant gives me a cup of coffee, I spill it. I don't blame the restaurant, I blame me. Leroy Blevins made a picture. You used it. It backfired on you. Don't blame Leroy Blevins. Simple as that. So I think that's the level of that. You know, and as I've shown you before, you know, he's promoting the Ivan Marks shooting the Iceman stuff. Mike Sells be hanging out with Tom Biscardi. Ivan Marks is, you know, little underling at one time. Kind of makes you wonder. And guess what? A lot of people don't know. I know Tom Biscardi and MK Davis met a long time ago, but they met. So, don't say I'm assassinating your character. Fact is fact. All I'm doing is connecting the dots. Massacre theory? Kind of nutty with no evidence. Now you're promoting these Texas videos, which were debunked by the Texas Bigfoot Research Organization, run by Craig Woolheater, way back 2002, 2003, 2004, somewhere in there. So that is the fact. That's not character assassination. That is just the facts. Okay, folks, it's been a long night. It's going on midnight. If anybody has a question, I'll take it now. You have 2 minutes to throw out a question. If not, we're going to call it a night. And again, I hope everybody's doing okay through all this COVID stuff. And another thing, I don't. Oh yeah, huh? Mrs. Patterson was harassed by the Canadians and damn it, he. Another thing too is if somebody attacks me, I don't go to my audience and say, "Oh, he assassinated my character." I debate them. You want to match words with me? But you don't, MK. So you know what? You lost that opportunity. I don't have any. If you're going to sit there and cry and whine about how you've been hurt when we're having a talk about facts, I got nothing to say to you. Because you're going to just believe what you want to believe and try to put a smoke screen up around it and make everybody believe it. Well, it ain't happening. Just look at the facts. And that's all I ask anybody to do. Look at the facts. Look at MK's facts. Look at my facts. You're going to see where the preponderance of the evidence is. Here's a scaled representation on the screen over here. What does he have? Assumption. Yeah, and Alan, I do want to address that too. This Blood Massacre film. That's right. If MK's watching, just the facts, man. And that's the other thing, you know. The facts are nothing but, pardon the French, bullshit. We're going to sit there and bullshit. Where's the evidence? Where is the evidence? So, that's right. Another thing, too, is he won't admit Al Hodgins' correction that Bob Titmus was never there. Well, he's backed off the Blue Creek thing, and I believe the Bob Titmus thing was both Bluff Creek and Blue Creek, but that's true. I mean, I'm not even sure. I get them kind of mixed up, but yeah. Even so, we even have a newspaper article that it was Keith Chiazeri, not Bob Titmus. Lost my train wreck of thought. But anyhow, I tell anybody, look at the facts. When it comes to the cells videos, and this is what we have, is we have a researcher who likes making assumptions. Like the assumption that it went over the top rail. Like he thinks making something bigger scale. It's just, I'm laughing at it. I don't understand it. I don't understand how revered he got, because he did some nice cleanup on the most revered film of them all, the Patterson-Gimlin film. And then when that twilight started to die, all of a sudden this massacre theory came out. You know, I don't know. I don't know why. People ask me, well, you think he's purposely doing that? I don't know. I'm not in his mind. But there's a lot of things that make me question it, like I said, like the point of reference. Why is the point of reference and his recreations never there? Just assumption. Don't know. The facts are the facts. Not character assassination. MK, as far as I know, you're a great dad, a great grandpa. Got nothing wrong with that. I don't even not like you. I'm a little burned that, you know, you're getting gruff on Bob Gimlin over nothing. But that doesn't mean I hate you. That doesn't mean I dislike you. I've always said I may disagree with you, but I'm, you know, you've always been a gentleman. And I've always been a gentleman. What have I said that's not true? What have I said? Nothing. Because I back my stuff up with fact, as you can see, and science, and psychology. You present a story and some evidence that you've changed. That fence, 5 foot at the top, not sure. I mean, if MK is saying he's 5'9", I'm an inch taller than him. And, you know, I thought that fence maybe came up to the same area on me. The actual post may be almost 5 feet, but the first rail is underneath the post. It's not on the top. It's not like a cage almost. And I was like I said, I'm 5'10", and I've been to that fence too. So, yeah, you know, well, according to, you know, his graphic, he measured the fence, I think. I don't know. Did he actually measure it? Let's take a look. Oh, yeah. He says the fence is 42 inches, which that's a great reference. That's a great reference because 42 inches is 3.5 feet. What? A little over 3.5 feet. Wait a minute. Something doesn't sound quite right. So yeah, 3.5 feet. So the fence post is maybe 4 feet. Yeah. Thank you, Chris. Standard is 42 inches. Thank you, Chris Bennett. Absolutely. I don't know if Chris came on late, but you can obviously see from the video, which I'll show one more time before we go, because I like this video because it's evidence. This is evidence. This is a good recreation. Everything is in line. Nothing is blurry. This is an overlay, mind you. Boom, boom. And the reason why, oh yes, thank you, Chris, for reminding me. The reason why, everybody, this is not the only element in the picture. The actual element is this. You see the lines? This is where, basically, it's the entire screen. Because you see how the lines go all the way out to the end? That's part of the overlay. So it's added for transparency. MK looks a different shade because, and that's right, Chris. Thank you for reminding me. I almost forgot that because I was showing Chris this earlier after the show. Well, actually, it didn't lean on the top wire. Watch. It's actually on the second wire. See, the hand is right there as it puts its hand over. And it's putting its leg over this line. Because if it was putting it up over the other line, it wouldn't quite make it. See? It's actually the second line. Now, here's the next thing. There is a big question that, can that fence be moved? And did it move? Well, here's another video to support that. I'm going to show everybody real quick. So, on the very side of the corner, you have the original video. This is the inlay, the zoom in of that post. Watch the post. Keep your eye on the post. Never mind the Bigfoot, or the supposed Bigfoot. And I'll call the shot when it comes out. This is the same, just the same video, cut differently. Here it comes. Going to go over the fence. Boom. And you see the fence post moved. It pushed down on that fence line. So there it is again. So yeah, even more evidence. Even more evidence. And I almost left without playing those. So, but I appreciate y'all for coming in this late at night. If nobody's got anything else, I'm going to get off and get myself a good night's sleep because there's more video to upload tomorrow. And this week I got a few videos coming out, at least 3 or 4. So, yeah, thank you, OT. He's keeping me in check because, like I said, it's now Monday morning here in New York State. So everybody be good. We'll catch you all Sunday night live. Yeah, I'll stop causing tears when people start. I don't know. It boggles my mind the patheticness of some people that I'm going to sit there and put a sympathy video out there and try to turn people against Steve because he hurt my feelings. No, presenting fact. If you want to, that's why I'm not going to debate him anymore. He had his chance last night and he blew it. So, everybody, good night. We'll catch you all Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern on Squatch-D TV. Keep your eye out at youtube.com/Steve Kulls for more videos this week. There's going to be a bunch. Catch you all later, guys. Have a good night.